G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. Welcome to a StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm replay at the end of the year almost. We're at the 16th of December, not too long until the end of year holidays. Of course, I'm sure lots of people will get some time off, especially down here. I suppose actually, I'm not actually sure how it works up in the I suppose over in the northern hemisphere, because it's a little bit different for you guys because you get snow and all that kind of stuff. We don't get snow here in Australia at Christmas time. It gets very hot. It gets like 40 degrees, and well, yeah, that's not cool at all. Literally as well as non-literally. Anyway, enough about the weather. Down here at the bottom right hand side in this Terran versus Zerg game, we have a top 50 North American GM player here from, well, he's in Demos as his team. It is Demo. Does a little bit of streaming over on Twitch. Really good Terran player. It's good to see. I do like randomly tuning into various streams across Twitch, and I did actually happen to come across Demo a little while ago, but I haven't actually seen too many replays. But I did find this one here, and we'll see how he goes up against his opponent, top left-hand side, as our blue Zerg player. Teamless now, but he's sort of, I suppose, turned his hand into doing a lot of casting himself, of course, with some really expert analysis that he provides. It is none other than Idra, or perhaps Idra, depending on how you want to say it. See, this is the whole thing with names and Idra versus Idra kind of stuff. I know he says it's Idra, but like for the longest time since Brood War, because I don't know if people know, I've sort of been around StarCraft for quite a while, and including in Brood War when Idra was playing over in Korea in the Brood War scene, and it was really cool. Even before Tasteless and Artosis went over there, it was really cool to see Idra get some work over there, and did really well. Good representative for the foreign scene. But yeah, I say Idra. I know a lot of you are going to be posting the comments saying, blah, 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 and I'll, you know, I always do read comments, by the way. If you ever want to leave some comments, some feedback, or anything like that, please feel free. I always do read them. I won't always necessarily reply. I'll do my best to reply as much as I can, but don't always read them. But yeah, Idra, firstly, yeah, I'm going to say Idra, so we're done with that. But he's been a wonderful player across what, like 10 years, I guess, or even more probably, of Brood War, and then of course into StarCraft 2. Didn't have as much dominance as we were probably hoping for to see in StarCraft 2, but he's certainly, no doubt, was definitely one of the very skilled foreign players that we got to see rising in the StarCraft 2 scene. And we'll see how it goes here up against Demo, of course, as I mentioned, a top 50 GM himself, and has some, from what I saw in some of the stream when it was a while ago, it was like a month or two ago when I was watching Demo, has some really good macro, just really high quality macro play, as many Terrans do, just sort of jumping in and you know, making sure your economy sits nicely, and then doing quite well with production, of course. Once you step up to sort of 2 bases and then start to get your macro going as a Terran, that's when things really start to sort of work into your favor, I guess, is one way of looking at it. But Terran, it's been a really good time, I suppose, for quite a lot of this particular matchup in general. I really do appreciate the Blizzard has made a couple of changes, of course, changing up tanks, changing up Widow Mines as well. Well, the tank change, I suppose, is very minimal. It's not as if it was a massive kind of thing, but watching quite a lot of the replays as I do, I have actually seen that a lot of people have been just sort of switching things up a little bit. Of course, when the Banshee cloak cost was changed, we got to see that Hellion Banshee has made a little bit of a comeback. It gets used every now and then, not always, not none, but every now and then it gets used. And I have even been seeing a few Terran players going back to the old style of Marine tank in this particular matchup. So if you see, particularly I've seen it from players such as Apocalypse, the Korean Terran player, he's been using it a little bit as well. It does take the positioning and things like that when it comes to Terran tank Marine style. You have to be a little bit careful sometimes with positioning of tanks and stuff like that, but it still can get the work done. Of course, not to say that Widow Mines have completely disappeared or anything like that either. They are still around and they still get used from time to time. but it's not exactly, you know, the every single game you will see Marine Mine medevac kind of stuff. It's, you know, it's not as common, as I suppose. It's not as dominant, I suppose is a better way to put it. But yeah, as we can see here in this game, we've got Hydra now up to 38 drones. He's had to just take a little bit of time to make sure this hatchery gets up. We do have 3 queens out here just protecting that base. We are at a total of 5. So you'll probably see 2 of these start to split off and continue making these creep tumors. Demo will do his best to try and control the creep spread here. Of course, this is one big thing that you always want to try and do as a Terran, is try and limit this, try and limit the spread of the creep here, because you really don't want the Zerg to be having a huge amount of not only map presence there, with the ability to roam around a lot quicker with things like Lings and even the Queens, but you also want to stop that vision, because all these creep tumors really providing a lot of vision there, as we can see. But now, third base has been finished up here for Hydra. Going to retreat a couple of those drones down towards the back there, as we can see, just to make sure that they are nice and safe. But of course, this means that once his third base is up and running, he can really start cranking things into gear. We see a Baneling nest go down. We do not have the lair just yet, but of course we do have a couple of those upgrades on the way. The double Evo chambers here at the front door will provide him with 1 to melee and 1 to carapace very soon. We will probably see that, the lair get started very soon. Yeah, there it is. So all nice, normal kind of timings here, and Hydra actually in a little bit of trouble running into, I suppose, the smallest choke point you could run into, as all of those Lings and getting burnt down. Quite a lot of the Lings will die off. He resupplies with a few more, but of course now at this stage, when the Lings have got their speed, we will start to see them possibly come out, maybe a few more Lings will start to come out. The Queens will be doing their best to try and hold all of these very mobile Hellions and Reapers back. But it is the time when things are going to start to really kick into gear, and in fact Demo has brought some of his units across already. Some Marines are going to be out on the field, and they are going to be pushing back against these Queens here. Going to be very careful. Of course, the Queens are a little bit dangerous in their own right, but these guys are big trouble here. The Baneling's going to come across. Demo targeting a couple down, and then does get out of there with a few of the units, but does lose a couple, as he was, well, I suppose, under a lot of pressure there, with lots of Lings and lots of, and of course all 3 of those Queens that were there really trying to give him some trouble. But he has come across, and he's really put some pressure here on Hydra, as he wants to continue pushing this creep spread out. What we normally will see is that they'll want to try and, the Zerg normally wants to get that creep over to their 4th, and then they'll start putting that putting the hatchery down. I've been playing way too much natural selection. I just call the hatchery a hive. But it's, as we can see back at home for Demo, he is going to move across to his third base. He does have to retreat some of these units as they head back towards his own side of the map, but he does have more drops now pushing out. We'll see how much damage he can get done. We've got the armory on the way, nicely synced up so that it should finish, well, it will finish before the 1-1 is finished up in those E-bays. But now, as you can see, Hydra looking to pick up a 4th base. He really needs that extra gas economy so that he can make the mutas work, because we do have that Spire just about to finish up. As we can see, the pneumatized carapace is also on the way, just to keep those overlords nice and speedy. But Demo is continually just threatening Hydra with not only the pressure on the creep, but also these drops that are now pushing in. Going to burrow a couple of those Widow Mines there and make sure that one of them blocks off the base that could be used for the 4th. And he's just really all over the place with all of this macro that's going on. We've got a 3rd base secured. The second factory is now up and running. We'll see a tech lab finish up there in a second. He'll want to probably research the alligator clips, or perhaps known as the drilling claws, for his Widow Mine, so that he can start pushing and being even more threatening. So everything is really proceeding in a normal kind of, I suppose there's nothing too crazy going on from either of these players. Both players, particularly Hydra, I suppose, very solid, very standard kind of play. You rarely ever see, like, I remember a very long time ago when Artosis and Tasis were actually casting the Avatech Intel Classic, I think it was called back in the day, in like 2007 or 2008. When Hydra was actually participating in one of the Brood War leagues at that time. And yeah, he actually did some kind of weird cheese or something, and Artosis was like, you know, having one of his crazy spazzy attacks that he does when something wacky goes on. Yeah, it's just unheard of for Hydra to play a kind of different kind of style. But as you can see, it looks like Demo going to be dropping inside the main base. Will not really get anything done. The mutas are now out, and they should be able to nicely control the all of the drops that are going on. But this does allow Demo a little bit of space to now push inside. As we can see, he's going to hold that Xel'Naga watchtower there so he can see when things are coming in. The Widowmines getting a little bit of damage done on those Lings, and as he has to back off, we can see that Demo is going to lose some of his units here. In fact, may even lose one or two of these medevacs. Hydra perhaps pushing a little bit too greedily against those medevacs, a little bit too far forwards, I think. Should have backed out for a second, waited for the Lings to catch up. But he is going to eventually clean all of that up. But at what cost? That's the thing we always have to ask when that sort of situation arises. But Demo now mining nicely off 3 bases, 69 SCVs out for him. We'll probably see him look towards a 4th base very soon. But this is that worrisome part for a Zerg player when you only just starting to look to get this 4th hatchery up, and as we can see, what a Terran will want to do is just continually sort of push in here, take out the 4th base, and try and keep the Zerg from holding that together, because as we said, once the 4th base is up, things start to get a little bit easier for production, for the production side of things for a Zerg player. So Hydra has to be very careful there. He is going to set up a 5th base as well. This is one thing I really do like those players to do when they are up against a Terran player that's really threatening them, is to set up a 4th and a 5th at the same time. So I do like how he has gone for that. It does mean that, you know, if this base was in trouble, that's not as bad, because you'll get another one that will be set up very soon as well. But now, Demo dropping inside the main base, drawing some of the Lings back again. Normally what you'll see with this is a little bit of pressure somewhere else on the map, and it looks like he is now starting to move out. We do have some Marauders prepared, and he is just making sure that everything is nice and, you know, adequately prepared for the possible Ultralisk switch that'll come in a little bit later. Of course, Hydra's still struggling to get his 4th base up, means that he won't be able to go in that direction just as yet. Widowmine's getting a little bit too close to comfort forward with those Banelings, but massive hits to kill off a huge amount of those Banes. And Demo now looking to run back. We haven't actually seen huge amounts of splitting or anything from him, but he certainly has been getting the work done with all of these Marines, and now I would really like to see him split up some of these Widowmines that are here as well. But now, as he pushes into the 4th base, we've got the drop now coming in. Oh, actually, no, it's a little bit of a fake there. But the Widowmines getting some shots on those mutas, but not enough. The Widowmines are active right now, but reinforcements now coming across. There are some more Widowmines. Massive shots on the pack of the mutas there, and Demo is going to take out quite a lot of the mutas. Will lose most of his forces in the end. His 2-2 really ripping apart those mutas, and the Widowmines, of course, doing a wonderful job. Despite the slight nerf to their splash damage, they still, when there's enough of them there, they get a huge amount of damage done. And now Demo is going to be threatening here. The Mutaflop of Hydra has now fallen down to 7. This is where you really start to fall into trouble territory as a Zerg player when the 4th is gone, when the mutas are really low in count. Of course, even 11 right now is not really that much in context of things. These Marines do have 2-2, and as we can see, Hydra is going to have a very hard time trying to push back against this force. The Marines now really out in force right now, and Hydra obviously expressing his displeasure at this current time with the Terran situation that he's got to deal with right now. Demo back at home now picking up. He's got a huge amount of racks available to him, 8 racks, producing what, like 10 Marines at a time, and now as we can see, he is looking to finish off what used to be a 5th base, now a 4th base. Isn't even mining, unfortunately, which means that this one is probably not too long for this roll. Widowmines coming out. It's so hard to see with the darkness on these outside bases, but Demo falling back to the cover of the Widowmines and is able to finish off the rest of Hydra's forces. So great game from Demo, just being very, I suppose, standard and stable with his macro, and eventually putting some drops out there, and then pushing against the 4th base of Hydra was eventually able to take him out. So great work from Demo there. Unfortunately, Hydra not able to pull out the win in this one. Hope you all enjoyed the match. I'll catch you all next time. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units, and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for Minigun, he's been sticking with a much more